Time and the Human Condition in the Lighthouse by Cassidy Bertrand. The Lighthouse is a 2019 film directed by Robert Eggers that is most notable for being filmed in black and white and with a almost square shape due to its aspect ratio. It stars Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, who play two men who are forced to spend 4 weeks together during a lighthouse maintenance gig. One is elderly and more experienced, while the other one is younger and a more timid ex-timberman with a mysterious past. They're constantly at odds from the start, but the tension bubbles more and more until they begin to crack when they miss their rescue boat. The conflict bursts, and they essentially fight to the death, and they both die. Aside from the credits at the beginning and end, there's very little non-diegetic elements in the story, with the exception of the credits and very little background music within the movie itself. Robert Pattinson plays the anti-hero while Dafoe plays the antagonist. The remote island is the normal world, and surprisingly that may be more relatable now than ever due to the COVID quarantines. The catalyst of the plot is Robert Pattinson's character killing the bird. It sets off a chain of events that ends to their untimely demises and essentially starts the real trouble. The only resolution is essentially that they both die. So this film emphasizes time in literal and abstract ways, literally being the multiple shots of the clocks, and especially the scene where Howard physically smashes the clock, which also leads to an abstract way because he's fighting with time and is taking his anger out on something that can't even feel it or be hurt by it. And then some of the other more abstract ways that the movie deals with time are that there's potential time travel in that the men might be the same person. The quick changing of the shots without real transitions, and the film kind of emphasizes what our relationship with time can do to our psyche, how Wake questions Howard's perception of time, and Howard is led to wonder whether or not he's crazy. Which leads to the fun little sidebar. Are the men the same person? There's a lot of evidence either way, but there are a lot of parallels between the two. And then again, some contradictions. Thomas Howard is a round character. He contradicts himself a lot. He doesn't drink at the beginning of the film and then leans into it when it's his only option. He also insists that he pictured the back of Ephraim's head, but didn't actually do it, didn't kill him, didn't lead to his death. Whereas Thomas Wake is kind of a flat character. He doesn't really evolve. He's a continuous alcoholic and manipulative throughout the film. So yeah, throughout the film's diegesis, we see parallels and contradictions that can both support or undermine the same person theory. But the overlap in the men's abilities definitely shows that in the right conditions, we may all be doomed for the same fates. So Albert Einstein once said that time is an illusion, and that was definitely on my mind while watching this film. Some other thoughts that came to mind were that knowing our impending fates, constructing time could be one way that we compartmentalize our lives. In the film, that seems to be a way that they deal with the endless time that they have to spend together, and they're forced to spend an ungodly amount of time together without any reprieve. And then that leads to, if time isn't real, can different versions of ourselves coexist at the same time? And that internal struggle that we may experience with ourselves, maybe that was part of the film. It was the same person fighting with himself over time and the past and the present. Can excess time drive us crazy? I think it can after COVID. Maybe this film is saying that our mortality is a gift that spares us from that horrible fate. So yeah, I think the film gives a whole new meaning to the saying, to kill time. And after having experienced a quarantine, this felt truly like a COVID nightmare. The men were counting down their time on the island before they even missed their rescue. And by the time they missed it and their fate was up in the air, they didn't even know if they would survive, which feels eerily similar to many people's experience with COVID shutting things down so suddenly and unexpectedly. So maybe my perceptions of this film are different than they would have been pre-2020.